Hey everybody! Alright, I'm in, I'll give you a little update here. Also got a question asked by a viewer that I'm going to answer on this as well. First, give you an update, what's going on here, and it's good information for some of you guys who might want some, a little bit of tips on your clock management, especially like when if you're running behind on a load slightly. This load I'm on right now is a really good example of how you can kind of finagle your clock, I guess. And it run completely legal, but you can manage your clock in a way where you can actually trim some of your ETA off that you might normally expect to have for there. So right now I'm under a load that I picked up in Sanderson Farms in Bryan, Texas this morning. It was supposed to be picked up yesterday at 1600. I was there on time. I got there like 15:13 or whatever it was. Somewhere around that time. Anyway, the load was not ready. Found out as I was checking in, the guard told me that all the people there were getting ready to go home. And he said if he didn't have the bills for my load, then it wasn't ready. And if it wasn't ready then, it wasn't going to be ready until the next morning. This morning. So I wasn't really thrilled with that, especially after I sat for a whole day waiting to move anyway. And I ended up calling the shipper back up this morning to ask, hey, what's going on with this load? Is it ready for me yet? And I think it was like 8 o'clock this morning. Because he said they were done for the day yesterday and they wouldn't be in until this morning. So I figured, all right, we'll probably start their day at like 6 a.m. or something along that line. And I don't know, maybe whenever I wake up, I'll wake up and I'll call them up and find out what's going on. So I make that phone call and I asked about the status of the load. I ended up finding out that, yeah, it's ready to go. It's like, I didn't know you were here already. It's like, yeah, I showed up yesterday at 15:13 and the guard told me you guys were going home and that it wasn't going to be ready till this morning. So told her I went back to the truck stop to wait, and because I would have normally dropped my trailer and just hung out there, but because of the amount of lag there, I was kind of starting to wonder now, are they just going to, especially earlier in the day, it was not very long after, it was, might have even been earlier than that. No, I think it was 3 something when I got there. Arrived at shipper. Yeah, 15:03 actually. So even earlier, a little bit. Anyway, between 3 p.m. and then 8 a.m. So that's 17 hours that I sat and waited, something like that. And anyway, shipper delayed me, but and I would have with that amount of time, I considered dropping my trailer and then just waiting there, but that amount of time, and there was still plenty of time left on the planner's day as well, I decided, I'm going to just go ahead and keep the trailer with me just in case they decide to cancel my load and give it to somebody else, and maybe have someone who can pick it up in the morning and have me get something else right away, keep me moving or something. Ended up not panning out though. I ended up getting information from the planner that I said we're going to ask for detention pay and ask for more time on the load as well. So I was already going back to the truck stop convinced that I wasn't going to be able to get the load delivered on time. However, I checked in. When I called the shipper, found out, yeah, it's ready. Okay, I had to make the nearly 30-mile drive back to the shipper. Now, mind you, I PC'd from the shipper back to the truck stop. There was a truck stop right just a couple miles down the road, but it's paid parking, like $10 for spots, and decided not to park in it. And I found out there was a 7-Eleven on the way down to the Loves, going up I-45, or not I-45, Highway 16, I think. Was it 16? I can't remember. 6 or 16, whatever. Something along that line, going north from Bryan. going up toward I-45, let's put it that way. Anyway, there was a 7-Eleven, I think, or something along that line on the left side that turned out to have truck parking as well, but I was already in the right lane, speeding by at 70 miles an hour before I realized that I could stop there. And so I decided, I just keep going. I was already committed to going to the Loves anyway. I didn't know that thing was there. It didn't show up on Trucker Path, and I didn't pay much mind to that. I mean, maybe I saw it on the way down there because I did pass by it, but just didn't have it on my mind. I don't know the area well enough, so maybe I do remember seeing it, just didn't think of it. Anyway, it was like a 25-mile trip up to the Loves, and then I PC'd back 25 miles this morning. Started my shift actually at the shipper, and from the shipper over to the receiver, which is Walmart in Riverside, California. Found out it was 1,430 or so miles. Actually, a little bit less than 1,430, but I always round up to the nearest 10. And so I was rounding up to like 1,430. I think it was like coming up to 1,423 or something along that line. 1,420 plus, but below 1,430. Anyway, ran the numbers, what time I was leaving the shipper. The miles that I had to do was coming up with close to 4 o'clock, but I usually add in an extra hour because of California being involved. So decided I gave I think about 5 a.m. is probably going to be my best case situation there, and my load is due at 4:30 in the morning. So I'm running about half an hour behind schedule at the best case scenario. So I came up with this idea. You know what? It's 14:30. If I can run full speed my entire shift, I can do that in 2 shifts. It's hard. Yeah, it's 715 miles each shift, but I can't do that when California is involved. Or at least I don't think I can. I don't know. Maybe I could probably push it. I still have...
You have 0 hours and 6 minutes of remaining drive time.
Still have 306 miles to go. 3 hours and 6... What am I thinking? I'm all screwed up. 3 hours and 6 minutes left on this shift. And with that, I could run another 190 miles or so. And I've already driven close to 690. It's 490. Around 490 or so to get from Bryan, Texas to here. Ended up having to go through Austin, which that kind of slowed me down because all the traffic lights and stuff on some of the highways through there. Was that US 290, and also had some more lights and stuff in on US 290 on the other side of Austin. I ended up I didn't take 290 at one point. I took 290, but then I think I cut across up to the north end of Austin because looked like the traffic conditions might be a little better. At least I had the option to take I-35 down through town and then cut across, maybe get cut out some of the traffic lights and stuff. Didn't work out because there was heavy southbound traffic on 35 that I was going to have to deal with. So then I realized, you know what? Not a problem. Keep going across whatever that highway was I was on. I thought it was 290, but maybe I get on the other side of I-35 and ended up going over to Loop 1 and take Loop 1 all the way down to where it runs back into 290 and 71 area down there. And got on 290 again from there, took it all the way out to I-10. Fredericksburg, Texas. Man, that's a happening little place. Not a very big city, but it's holy shit, man, there's a lot of stuff going on there. It's a German town, and they have like some German restaurants, a whole bunch of people like just kind of doing touristy kind of shit there, shopping, eating and stuff. Like, man, I think I might want to check this place out sometime. Wouldn't mind having some German food. Some good German food and all that. Anyway, so I came up with the idea, though, if I can trim up some of my ETA by foregoing 30-minute breaks. I have 3 shifts I have to do. If I had, like I said, if I had to yeah, if maybe I didn't have to do a 700-mile shift involving California, I would probably go for 2 shifts. But I can do 700 miles involving California, but it's hard. Not easy. It's too much risk, I think. So because I don't normally go that fast in California, so I decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and just run as efficiently as I can with my shift. And if it comes down to it, I was going to run 3 shifts where I don't do any 30-minute breaks. I just run as far as I can before my 8-hour clock forces me to shut down. And once my 8-hour clock forces me to shut down, I'm done for 10 hours instead of a 30-minute break. Especially this time in the evening, I don't want to be showing up at 180 miles out. That would get me right into the El Paso area, and I'd end up being there like 8, 9 p.m. or something like that. Screw that. I'm not showing up there that hour and having to deal with nowhere to park. So stop right here. Turns out I'm 913 miles out now. So even with, if I do, so I have even more options now to work with. So instead of a 30-minute break, I'm doing a 10-hour break that I'm going to have to take anyway. So what that does is shorten up my ETA by about 30 minutes. And, I did have to stop for fuel on the way here. I maxed out my tanks over in Segovia, Texas. Got over here, and now because of where I'm at, I'm at 913 miles out, then my next shift, I have multiple options here, believe it or not. One would be go ahead and run another as long as I can shift without doing a 30-minute break. However, that's going to probably put me in the Tucson area. I love Tucson as a former Air Force guy who was stationed there, but as a truck driver, I don't like Tucson. Sorry, there's not much for truck stops there that I really care to stop at. I'll tend to stop sometimes at the Pilot Express over there on the east end for fuel or something. But it's more of a gas and go kind of thing for me. I prefer to just not stay overnight there. I'll skip on over to Benson if I'm going eastbound, or try to get all the way over to like Eloy or somewhere, or even Marana or Picacho Peak area somewhere. If I can't reach Eloy, because there are a few spots there that I can hit west of Tucson or north of Tucson, whatever you want to call it. All right, so anyway, I could do that and probably end up in Tucson because I'm 212 miles out from the New Mexico line. It's 164 miles. How many miles is that? 164. That's 376 miles from here to the Arizona border. So I could run another maybe 150 miles into Arizona, and that would actually put me right in the Tucson, Marana area. More so Marana, but I'd probably end up checking up and stopping in Tucson, which doesn't sound too inviting to me. Be great to stop there, though. I do have a cousin and I still have several Air Force friends who still live there, even though they are already retired from the Air Force or no longer serving or whatever. But I don't know. It's either way. It's like I'm gonna plan on not stopping there. So, but I have the option. I can either stop in Tucson on my next shift. As soon as my 10-hour break is up, get moving right away, or go on duty right away and then get moving, whatever. And don't do a 30, just run non-stop to Tucson. I can always stop somewhere for like a few minutes along the way somewhere, like maybe Lordsburg or somewhere, and then run the final miles. Or I can do an 8-2 split. And now this is where it can be tricky, where I know how to manage my clock, so I can do it effectively, but I need to give you guys caution on this if you guys decide to try this kind of a tactic yourself, because 8-2 splits can be tricky. I know a lot of experienced drivers who don't even mess around with 8-2 splits because they don't understand them well enough. Like the rhyme or reason to when they get drive clock back or how or whatever, or how much they'll get back. And I'll explain that to you right now. So let's say I run, I'm going to go ahead and run like maybe a 700 mile shift tomorrow. I'll try to get as close as I can. 700 would actually get me, pretty close to 700 would actually put me right in the area of, why am I brain farting on the name of the town? The one that's at the 19 mile marker and 17 mile marker in Arizona. Quartzsite. Yeah, Quartzsite, Arizona. That's where my next shift I can get to. Now, I would have to do a 30-minute break though. But there's a catch on this. I can always do a 2-hour break, a minimum 2-hour break instead of a 30. And then at the end of my shift, instead of doing a 10-hour break, I can do an 8-hour break. And that would satisfy the 10 hours. But like I said, there's a catch to this. If I do an hour and 59 minutes and then I decide to start moving for the rest of my shift, I don't get any drive clock back after I've done 8 hours in sleeper berth. If I do at least 2 hours off duty, doesn't matter, any combination of off duty and sleeper berth. As soon as I do at least 2 hours of that and I get moving, when I do my 8-hour break, the sleeper berth at the end of the shift, whatever drive time I did before the 2-hour break will come back to me. So if I run myself down to like 10 minutes left on my clock, if I only did an hour and 59-minute break before I run out my shift, then at the end of the shift I don't get any drive time back at the end of the 8-hour sleeper berth. So that's where you got to really watch it. I'll get 14-hour clock back, but I won't get 11-hour clock back. If I do at least a 2-hour break though before I finish out my shift and then do the sleeper berth, then I do get drive time back. And what amount I get is whatever amount of driving I did prior to the 2-hour long break. So, case in point, like if I run my next shift tomorrow and I only run, let's say 4 hours, and then I do a 2-hour break, and then I run the other, the other 7 or so, or 6.5, 7 hours to the end of my shift. Then we'll, say I have like 10 minutes left on my 11-hour clock at the end of the shift. Then after the 8-hour sleeper berth, I get 4 hours back because that's all I did before the 2-hour break. So, given that in consideration, putting that in consideration, if I want to have as much clock to work with on the final leg, basically the third shift, before I have to stop for a 2-hour break, the trick on that is to make sure I run enough hours on my next shift before doing the 2-hour break to where I know that that'll be enough to get me from wherever I shut down to my receiver without stopping for 2 hours somewhere along the way first. So if I run, let's say 6 hours, and then I decide to do a 2-hour break and then run out the last 5 hours or so of my shift, and that's still going to put me in the Quartzsite, maybe even Ehrenberg area of Arizona. And then it'd probably be about 180 or 200-ish miles from there onto the receiver. And I can do that in 3 hours. 3, maybe 3.5, depending on, given the speeds that I'm going to run in California. But also keep in mind, I might need to put my way through the way station in Banning as part of that. So I expect that I will get slowed down. So my plan is on my next shift, run as far as I can before I stop for 2 hours, and I'm ready for a shower. I was really wanting to stop either in Fort Stockton or run all the way, run my shift out or something today, but with the ETA issue, like, you know what, let's get the load on time first and then worry about showering. So yeah, I overshot Fort Stockton on purpose by a good 45 miles, actually, more than 45 miles, to give myself the least burden as I can on the next 2 shifts. And it turned out to work. It's working out good because I just ran the numbers, and coming up with about a 3:30, I think it was, ETA. Well, I would round up to the nearest hour regardless, but that would still put me around 4 a.m. But hey, that would get me there on time. Yeah, I'm not by much, but it would get me there on time. I wouldn't need any help getting a load delivered. On my next shift, if I do a 2-8 instead of a 30 and a 10, then that's going to probably tighten up my ETA even more. But yeah, I will keep in mind what's the traffic condition look like when I end up going through like Tucson or whatever. Maybe even Phoenix. I'll have to consider all that. So, well, as the shift progresses, well, yeah, I might have to be flexible on this, and maybe make a change to the plan, which is to do a 2-8, and end up just checking up and doing just a regular 8-hour or less run, and then just stop for 10 hours like I'm already planning to do. So. That's one of the ways you can effectively run your clock, and if you're running on a tight schedule, that is a way, because it works on this load because the mileage is just enough where I can run those miles without needing a 30-minute break though on any of my shifts, and so I can easily take more than an hour off of my ETA just by doing that. A lot of other loads, like maybe it was a 1,600-mile load, probably wouldn't be able to do that because I would still have to do 2 10-hour breaks regardless, but now 1,600 miles, that's 533 miles per shift. I usually plan on being able to do no more than about 5:30 or so before I absolutely have to stop for a 30-minute break. So on a day like this where I got down to I think barely 10 minutes left on my 8-hour clock before I shut down here. I'm limited on options of where I can stop. So I mean, it's not like I can stop at any random spot that I feel like stopping at, not legally at least, or not safely. So this just happened to be the best spot I could stop where my clock would actually allow me to get to, and it ended up only being 495-ish miles, and they said I could have normally done like 5:30 or so. So keep all that in mind. Got to work with the numbers. This is, people don't like doing math, but this is one of those examples where do your math. I mean, even just as a stupid trucker, there's math involved, and it really pays to know how to effectively manage your clock so that you don't end up with a service failure that you could avoid or something. Okay, so that out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and answer a question that was asked earlier today by Cliff Chancellor. He asked it in my Golden West Trading pickup in Commerce, California video. That was, I think that might have been the last one I actually posted. With the main camera kind of acting up on me, I'm trying to remember what I posted and didn't post. Yeah, I think it was that most recent video. Anyway, Cliff, thanks for asking your question. I'm going to tell you guys what he asked here. He says, I'm a new company driver trainee at JCT. I just got hired on last week. I wanted to know if you had any interest in training me, or if not, giving me knowledge about what I should expect being a new driver at JCT. Okay, so Cliff, thanks for asking that question, and thanks for checking out JCT. Don't know what brought you to JCT, but hey, I hope it all works out great for you. So yeah, first part of that is, would I be willing to train you? I don't think my truck is really well suited for more than one person in it, to be honest with you. I have my upper bunk, I don't have a mattress in it, and it's full of stuff like my extra clothes and stuff. My cabinet over here's got clothes and stuff, and then the rest is all like just random stuff. I don't know. I might be able to fit stuff, other people's property in it or something, but it's not easy. And under the bunk, I have all the APU equipment underneath there, so that takes away a lot of the potential storage space that I used to always enjoy having when I drove for Cedar England and did not have an APU. So given that, if I had a truck with no APU, I might be more willing to entertain the thought of being a trainer again, but with this truck, no, hell no. It's just not well suited for that. With all the stuff I have in here, it wouldn't be a good idea. Not that I'm against training though. However, I don't have any problem at all with mentoring. If you ever have questions, you need help with this or that, all right, yeah, go somewhere else, moth. The moth's attracted to my lights. Yeah, by all means, ask me for any help on that. Yeah, get a hold of me on Facebook, whatever. Message me, whatever there, and I can, yeah, give you my number on there or whatever. Give you whatever help I can. Now you said new company driver, so me being a lease op, I'm not totally fully up to speed on how things go with our company drivers, but I've talked to some of them, and one of my my mentees that I've known since before he got his CDL, because yeah, and I met him through here on my channel. He drives for us now as a company driver as well, and I've gotten some feedback from him. He just started out recently, but I at least got some feedback from him and maybe a couple other people who are company drivers. Some of the questions I had for him mainly were like, when you have to get fuel for your truck, do you have to stop at specific locations that are on your fuel plan, or can you just stop anywhere? And according to him, you can stop at any Pilot Flying J location, doesn't matter where. Doesn't matter if it's on your fuel plan or somewhere else, but it has to be a Pilot Flying J. So when you get your fuel plan on that happening. I also asked him if do you have to follow a specific route that they want you to follow, because when I drove for Sierra England as a company driver on the OTR side, I had to follow a specific route, or I could deviate up to maybe 100 miles. If I went over 100 miles off their designated route, then I would start getting yelled at by my DM and say, "What are you doing off route?" Or like, "You're supposed to be on such and such." And like, and I used to do that sometimes, mainly on those Laredo to like Denver, Salt Lake City area type. Actually, more specifically Salt Lake City. If I had to go up that way from Laredo, I had a particular route that I was more interested in doing, but it was completely different from what they wanted me to take. And it was a head scratcher to me, because the way they wanted me to take was like 200 miles longer than the way I wanted to take. And the way I wanted to take was just as quick, actually quicker, I think. So it made no sense to me. And that was, of course, the question I had, because me as a lease op, I'm paying for my fuel, not the company. So, I mean, JCT will give me a certain amount. They'll pay me for a certain route, and they'll pay me fuel surcharge for that specific route. But if I want to take that route or some other route, that's on me. If I end up, if it takes me an extra 100 miles to cover the route, then from what they're paying me for, okay, then I'm the one paying for it. A very common thing that I do actually in the winter time, especially when I'm going across 40. If I don't want to deal with snowy conditions or icy conditions and stupid people and their accidents on I-40 in New Mexico and Arizona, what I'll usually do is if I'm going westbound, I'll get off 40 in Santa Rosa and take US 54 and US 70 down to Alamogordo and Las Cruces in New Mexico, and then I'll take 10 across from there. Adds 100 extra miles to the route, but hardly anything for weather and traffic to deal with down that way. So it's a lot less hassle dealing with that. I don't have to deal with shutdowns for traffic delays and stuff most of the time doing that. It's on me though. But if I do think that staying on my route's going to make me late, and I think that deviating down to a different area can get me there on time, I can actually ask if they can reroute me, reroute my paid miles along that detour as well, where I can still get paid for those extra miles. Company drivers though, again, I wasn't really sure how they were going to do it, and from what I was told, you can run whatever route you want to run as long as you just get it there on time. I don't know if they're gonna nitpick or whatever, if you're gonna go over your miles by whatever amount. So bear that in mind. Now, you said you're going to be training. We do have definitely not a Swift or Sierra England or Night kind of training program, or even Prime, I guess. It's not robust. Now, we do have a training program, as you probably already know, but a lot of people watching might not be aware of. A very small program compared to them. And again, since I'm not a trainer, I'm not fully up to speed on how the program works, but from my understanding, they tend to run it kind of like the way Prime does their program, where when you get on the truck, the first so many miles can only be the trainee driving. The trainer can only be in the passenger seat, never driving at all. I want to say it's like 6,000 miles or something along that line. I want to say 6,000 or so miles, which you can do in about 2 weeks. Actually, less than 2 weeks if you're running hard. Where it's, so trainee only drives. It's always solo speed route. Only the trainee drives. The trainer always sits in the passenger seat on duty when the trainer's driving. And after the trainee meets those whatever mileage requirements, which, I mean, again, don't quote me, it could be 6,000 miles. That's what I thought I remember hearing. It could be something else. After that, then you advance to super solo speed routes, which some of you guys who've been trainers before are familiar with that. Super solo is basically where the trainee drives a certain amount of time. I don't know if maybe the trainer doesn't, maybe the trainee drives their full shift or drives up to a certain amount of hours. I can't remember. I thought I heard that the trainee only drives a limited number of hours still. And then the trainer will drive some hours as well. And then, of course, certain things that go on, the trainer has to be in the passenger seat. And then other times, I think the trainer can be in the back or something. I could be butchering these rules, so the JCT rules on this. So I'm not really a good authority on that with how our program works, but I know that they run solo speed only first for a certain time, and then they run super solo for a certain amount of time or miles, whatever it is, and then after that's been done for so long, then it'll graduate to where you start running team speed. Full team speed, where a trainee drives the full, up to 11 hours drive time, and a trainer will drive up to 11-hour drive time, and different things that get taught in there too. Like, so obviously, when you're starting out, you're going to start with the basics, learn how to trip plan, run your shift, or back or whatever else. Make sure you get rid of some of the bad four-wheeler habits that everybody comes to the industry with. Like not watching your tandems. I cannot stress that enough. Watch your tandems. You guys see me doing it in my videos, especially my back-end videos is one thing. You see me looking all over the place in my back-end videos. I'm watching all these different details. And when you're starting out with as a trainee with backings, it's common for trainees to just fixate on the tandems and not really pay much attention to anything else. Not good. Don't pay attention to just the tandems. Tandems are good to watch for, but there's so many other details you got to watch regularly. Be just moving your head and looking for this or that detail. Where exactly is your ICC bar at in location to the line on your sight side of your on the driver's side of your spot, or the truck that's over there? Where are your tandems at in relation to those same two objects? How much of the angle do you have here between the tractor and the trailer? Because that actually dictates how much the trailer is going to roll or rotate when it's backing up. What's going on over here to your right? Is there someone trying to drive or walk by you while you're trying to maneuver over there? It happens all the time, especially if you're trying to back into a dock from a street or something. You'll get stupid people trying to drive right past you because they see the gap there. But a lot of people, you end up steering right, and next thing your tractor comes out and hits them. Also, that same mentee I was talking about earlier, he had a backing that he was doing a while back before he came to JCT. I believe he was at the Pilot in Avondale, Arizona. if I remember right. Maybe it might have been the Flying J. It was one of those two. He was in that area though. He set up to back into a particular spot, and he starts backing up, and then next thing you know, an idiot JCT driver decides to go around him in between the passenger side of his truck and the trucks that are parked on the other side of the lane. And it's like, what the hell are you thinking? Because the tractor is going to probably kick out over there and hit him. And unfortunately, it was a JCT driver that did that to him. And I had told him my trick for that is don't leave them the space where they can do that. Now, whatever space there is across the lane, I'm going to use every damn bit of it, because the more the space there is, the more I can angle the trailer straight toward my spot before I even start to back up. If my spot's like this, why would I start my backing with my trailer sitting like this if I can put it in there with it facing like that? This is a much safer angle, a much easier angle to work with, much safer as well. And the margin for error is a lot harder when you're doing it from here. I will give you a little bit of a tip for that I used to actually do with trainees when I ran Walmart Dedicated. A lot of times we'd maybe, a good example, we'd get to the Las Cruces Sam's Club there, the store there, and we'd get there maybe at 6 p.m. The receiving area doesn't open till 9 p.m. So we'd have a few hours we could spend there, either go watch a movie at the nearby theater, go grab a bite, like bobtail over to grab a bite to eat or something, or whatever. Maybe even do some practices. I practice backings in the dock door, or I would even have trainees actually disconnect from the trailer, dock it in first, disconnect, and then have them pull away straight and then hard left. So they're at a 90-degree angle from the trailer. Go straight ahead that direction for a bit. And I intentionally would not tell them to pay attention to when they would straighten out. I would tell them just go wherever, and then start backing up, and then try to time when you need to steer hard left to line right back up with your trailer. When you're at a 90-degree angle, it's hard. And never failed. They never got the timing right. They actually started their turn way too late. And I would have, after they get through the whole process, I would have them do the same thing again. Pull away, hard left, and then as soon as they straighten out, pay attention to where their tractor is at in relation to the how many dock doors over or whatever, or trucks over it. It'd be like 3 spots over from the one they actually wanted, where their door window would actually be lined up with. And they would usually start like maybe a spot and a half away, so they would be way off. But now if you come out of like 45-degree angle, it's a lot easier to time that. And then if you're straight back with it, that's real easy to time, if you have any concept for which way to turn the steering wheel correctly. Alright, so those are some of the little tips that can help you out when you're going through the training process. Hopefully you have a good trainer who will help you with like weather planning, effectively managing your clock and all that kind of stuff. Most of the drivers who are going to be doing that stuff, they got plenty of experience. So the ones I know have, several of them have more experience than me. I do have a friend, I don't know if he has more or less than me, but I know I have a friend who is a trainer. Not paid too much attention to details on, what his experience. I don't know if he's even done any trainees yet. I know he was going to be one. Last time I talked to him, he had not yet had any trainees, so I'd have to follow up with him on that. Otherwise, if you ever have a question, sliding tandems, or am I legal with this weight or whatever, or what, can I have my tandems in such and such spot in certain states, whatever. I can give you help on any assistance on that, any of that your trainer might not actually cover. And mind you, the trainer, just because if they don't give you some of these details, doesn't necessarily mean that they're not a good trainer. It could just mean that they forgot to mention it. It happens. Even I was guilty of doing that, where I just didn't cover certain things that should have been covered occasionally with trainees, or maybe they aren't aware that certain things are certain rules exist that technically you should know about, even though whether something's actually enforced versus what's technically enforceable, those are two different things sometimes. So it helps to know those kind of details, and then let you be the captain of your own ship and decide how legitimately legal you want to run, or how technically illegal, but knowing you can get away with this or that, do you want to run too? So just keep all that in mind. All right, so yeah, it's there's a lot to cover here, though, and I cannot stress enough the importance of watch your tandems. Anytime your truck is off tracking from your trailer, your eyes better be glued to that mirror. Don't be looking up here in the windshield to see where your tractor's going. Glue your eyes to that mirror. Let your peripheral vision look over here and tell you what the tractor's doing. Or you can even start out, look up ahead first, and when you start to turn, get the right amount of turn that you want, that you know is going to put your tractor where you expect it to be. And as soon as you even start to get the right rotation that you're wanting, and then stare here at your tandems, watch up here with your peripheral vision, double check that your tractor's going where you want it to, and then double check, and then you can keep watching that your tandems are going to actually clear what you're wanting to clear. I think that same video that you commented on, yeah, I think that's the one, where you see me docking in there. That's a good example of that. Watch where, when I go through the lot and I make that left turn to go back out onto the street to set up my backing, there's a point in there where you're actually going to see my tandems disappear behind the fence rail there, the fence post there at the end of the driveway. Okay, that's another important detail when you're getting taught stuff. If your tandems disappear behind an object like that, if you keep going forward, you are going to hit that object. Okay, so now if you're not that close to it, you might be able to counter steer by steering basically steer the opposite direction to straighten out, and be able to clear the object. But in a lot of cases, there's not enough room. Maybe there's too much off track, and there's not enough room for you to work with, for you to straighten out before the trailer is going to hit whatever the object is. So that's in fact, I'll probably put that in this video as well, so you can actually see that visually. This is what it looks like when you're about to hit something if you keep going forward. Watch that. I cannot stress this enough. And I don't care how impeccable your Class C driving record is. I had people with impeccable Class C records get in my truck, and I had to yell stop, or whoa, or get ready to pull the parking brakes to stop them from having an accident, even then. So, and the better ones actually learned a lesson right away as soon as they figured out, like, holy shit, now I see what you're talking about. A couple other ones, nope, never learned the lesson. And I might do some storytelling on that some other time. I don't know. So there's some good and bad experiences I've had with trainees. It'd probably be a good idea for me to talk about that without going into too much detail. I don't want to single any names out, whatever. But I can give some general ideas on experiences I've had as a trainer, I guess. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. I'm sure this was plenty to cover here anyway. I really just wanted to give you guys an update what's going on with me, and also answer your question. Again, thanks for asking it, and I'll have some more footage for you guys hopefully soon. I did confirm with my wife that my new 3-camera system is indeed at the house now, so when I get through delivering this load, I'll most likely be at my house after that. Or I don't know, I might do a local pickup or something after that, drop it in the drop yard, but guaranteed my next 10-hour break after I'm done delivering this load is going to be at my house. And yeah, when I get done with home time, I will certainly have that 3-camera system hooked up. So I'll have the rear camera view back, and then I'll also have the right side rear camera view working for you as well. So I'll be looking forward to that. Have even more camera angles for you guys to enjoy. Those are, especially the right turns and blindside back-ends, is what I'm looking forward to having that right camera view for. Also, all right, so that's all I have. Guess I will see you guys on the next one. Thanks again for asking that question. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you all in the next one. Thanks.